We have an absolute issue tonight on Fairway to Heaven. What the issue is, it's the final major of the season. We are live talking the Open Championship with a killer 4-person panel live in 30 seconds. And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome all. Fairway to Heaven right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you know the drill. Wherever you are watching, hit that like button, that subscribe button, that follow button, that share button. It is free to do it. It is free to help support the cause, and it's free to listen and get as much knowledge as possible as we try not to lose our shirts again this week as we talk the final major of the season. I am your host, Phil Stiefel, as always. Down at the bottom corner there, we got Jason Sullivan, as always, JSully2121, returning for what, the fourth or fifth time? My main man, the union expert, Steve Fuentes, at Soldier Steve 247. And for the first time this year, maybe the first time in 2 years, an absolute issue. Scott Holdridge, at Holdridge_Scott, the guy with the best hair, the best wallpaper in the background, and the only John Morrison lookalike that I know exists.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing tonight?
Dude, just pumped.
Who cares? Nobody cares. Who cares how you're doing, Jason?
Just pumped to have these guys on and talk some Open. I'm pumped.
Steve, what is up? I see you put a little Tiger Woods red golf shirt in the background. Are you excited to watch Tiger Woods one more time this year?
One more time this year, yeah. I'm definitely excited. I'm hoping he makes the cut just so that we get a few more extra days of him this season. So that's why I put the shirt up for good luck.
There we go. And Scott, what have you been up to in the world? The last resort for golf podcasts is to call Scotty in. What have you been doing and up to since the last time we had gone?
I'm excited. Yeah, I was like, this is my second time on, and usually I'm only on once, and then they're done. But this is good. I'm glad to be back.
So my question is, what happened to you? Because we had Brian Kirshner on his first ever podcast. He blew up and became pretty famous in the golf podcasting community. We had you on. You didn't blow up and become famous.
I didn't do that, yeah.
Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm going to ride this coattails. Like, I'm on the show, obviously, like waiting for the calls from agents and managers. And, I'm still time.
I love it. I love it.
I do got to thank, thanks for even having me on again. Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on, and we appreciate Steve coming on, Jason. We got, like I said, the final major of the season, the Open Championship. I don't know about you guys. I absolutely love the Open Championship. I hate links golf, but something about the Open Championship, the fact that it's been on for this will be the 152nd time this event has taken place. I love history. I love nostalgic. I love the course rotation they have. Royal Troon this year. Scott, we'll start with you here. Like, what are your general thoughts of the Open? Are you like me that you love the old feel of this tournament that we get every single year?
Yeah, I'm such a sucker for, like you say, like history, and
Yep.
I personally love links golf. I think it's so cool. It brings more players in usually, and I love that it's cool finally to see like bunkers are actually a hazard.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that shit on these tournaments. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, a bunker is supposed to be a penalty, and like seeing some of the course flyovers and pictures, like that's one of my favorite tournaments of the year by far.
That's awesome. Jason, what are your thoughts on like adding to this conversation of the Open and how historic it is? You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I mean, I personally want to see carnage. Like, I want bad weather. I was hoping. I mean, it looks like some of the days might be a little bit wet, but the winds are not what I was kind of hoping. I want to see carnage. I want to see the hardest possible course we can see with weather. I don't know if we're going to get it or not, but I don't want to see a 18 under Open championship at all. So I think we lost the host.
Uh-oh.
What about you?
Well, I'll go
Steve?
next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say my favorite thing about I love links. Style. I
Yeah.
messaged Jason the other day saying how I changed my work schedule to start at 3 a.m. so that I can wake up in time in order to watch this. I do it for both of these 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I love how it's going to make these golfers use every arsenal that they have on a course like this in this sort of conditions. And I'm with Jason. I want to see carnage. I want to see these guys have to really figure out club up, club down, really use their caddies, really figure out the strategy part of golf on courses like this.
Sorry, I'm back, guys. I don't know what happened there. My computer just kicked me off the internet for like 3 seconds. Not sure what happened there. But see, I got faith in the three of you guys that if I wanted to leave, you guys can handle this show without me for the next hour.
We'd be all right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's right.
If I would have left Jason by himself, he would have panicked in 3 seconds and ended the stream immediately. But because Scott and Steve are here, it's all good.
That actually happened to me one time on our Friends of the Show, the Approach podcast back in the day. Drew's internet went out, and I was just sitting there by myself, and I'm like, what just happened? And I'm like, oh, wait. Whoops.
All right, guys. So let's get into it. Royal Troon, the last time it was here, what was it? 2016, was it? I believe. Stenson won the last time they were here at Royal Troon. Mickelson. It was a really weird. I vaguely remember it. I mean, I read up on it to refresh my memory, but as I'm reading up on it, I don't remember the fact that you had Stenson at 20 under, Mickelson at 17 under, then third place JB Holmes. There's a name for people. Was 6 under. Third place was literally 2 touchdown scores away from the winner. What kind of court? Scott, you were already talking about all the bunkers that are in play and stuff like that. What makes Royal Troon so difficult, but yet also in the same sense, some guys, if they're on their game, could go super, super low here.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has. It's kind of a subtle start. I think the first 3 holes are pretty mellow, and then it starts kicking up. Like that first par 3 looks so nasty. Yeah. I think it's like 215, something like that, downhill. And I think it's pretty traditional, just going out. And then, because it was designed like 6 holes and then slowly added over the years. But it looks like precision ball striker paradise. I hope we get some wind though, so it brings in more to it. Yeah, like Steve was saying, like just the artistry and the full arsenal. But it's definitely, the back 9 looks like just burly. Like they seem way different.
This guy.
Every show
right at you, right out the gate. Yeah. But yeah, front 9 kind of the slow, subtle start, and it starts ramping up, and then the back 9 is just like really shows its teeth, which should be exciting if we get a little wind.
Especially with the back 9, it looks like you said with the wind, like you're playing into the wind. It looks like on the back 9 the entire time. Which is like it's no joke at all. And I think you brought up a good point with the bunkers. Like I love that the bunkers are a penalty. Like if you're in the bunkers, you're in big, big trouble here. So it's this course definitely has some teeth. The wind is going to be a big factor, like we all say. But that was the thing about 2016 is Stenson and Mickelson were in like a 1 hour stretch of good weather, and they just happened to ride that all the way through, where everybody else was playing in like horrible weather. So yeah, it's all about wave advantages, I think, in this kind of a course.
The other thing I read, it's going to be the smallest greens these golfers face all year long, which obviously brings into play the short game, the scrambling, the around the green play. Steve, do you think one area is more important than the other in that area, or you're zoning in on that approach play? I know, it's not the super longest of courses, so a lot of shorter approach shots on some of these holes, especially in those first 6, 7, 8 holes. To me, this week, I've completely ignored putting. And I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, because I actually feel like with all the bunkers and everything like that, you're not going to see 2022 Cam Smith putting from 60 yards off the green around the bunker to save par and stuff like. You're not going to see that. So that short game scrambling around the green, something, Steve, that I'm looking pretty heavily at this week.
Yeah, my main thing is going to be driving accuracy. You don't necessarily have to be long off the tee, because look at, on these sort of link style, look who won last year. Harman kind of was very strategic with playing before any sort of dangerous part of each hole, and it allowed him to play his sort of game where he didn't really need to switch his style up to where this one, Scott was saying it, how the first 3 to 6 holes, that's where you're going to be able to get it. So for me, driving accuracy to avoid those pot bunkers is going to be huge for the wins and everything for those first 6 holes, because then that back 9, you really got to transition to fighting against a win, and now it's becoming a mental game.
Jason, did you want to add something to that? Sorry.
No, I just agree with both. They're both saying.
I saw you shaking your head. I thought you had something. Yeah, I got something interesting here to think about. And, you got Scottie Scheffler back in the field for the first time, in 3 weeks he took off there. You got a bunch of guys that played last week to tune up in the Genesis Scottish Open. A lot of the PGA guys don't see links-style courses very often. Then you got a bunch of guys like Scotty and Tony Finau, to name another. Bunch of guys that skipped last week and that link-style tune-up. Then you got guys like Sung J M, who we talked last week, Jason. Terrible links history. Then went out and had a great round at golf. Are you going to be leaning more into the guys that have great history on link styles, or the guys that are hotter, the guys that played last week? Like, I was looking on Sunday at the leaderboard in the back 9 there, and I'm like, all 5 of those names should be in my player pool because they're the guys that are on fire on this course. Scott, do you think last week's success is more important than, the last 5 years in link style courses, or does the variables that play in links, eliminate just last week and you still got to look at the bigger picture?
Ooh. I think I try to always just go bigger picture.
Okay.
Just like take a step back and just honestly think like if it's down to, like in the sense of like player pools, I just try to think of who's objectively like the better golfer, because I think me personally, I get way too tied up in just going down the wormhole and overthinking it. And whereas it's just like, it's 4 days, and especially a tournament like this where literally anything can happen from the start of Thursday to the afternoon wave on Thursday. Just honestly, my picks are all based on like, a little bit, maybe a blend, but overall it always comes down to like, who's better at putting the ball in the hole quicker. That's it.
Because Jason, if you remember, we sat on this show last week and just trashed Sung J M, like terrible option. I'm a big Sung J M guy in non-majors, but we both agreed that he was a terrible play last week. He goes out there, and I forget where he ended up finishing, but he was in that top 10 for a majority of the tournament. Do you take anything into account? I know Sung J M is not necessarily a good play because he's had atrocious major history this year, and in general. But in general, do you grab at any of that, or is it just like Scott said, overthinking it and go to the big picture?
I think it's big picture too, just because last week's course wasn't really a good comp, other than the wind, which wasn't even there. It's not really a good comp to this course, I don't think. So I'm looking at the bigger picture too, and like Sanjay, I mean, on paper last week looked like a horrible play. I mean, he had horrible history at the Open, horrible history in the Scottish Open. Like, he kind of just pulled that out. And now you're going to see this week the overreaction. Everybody's going to be putting him in their lineups. I think he was like 15% last time I looked. So I definitely think it's bigger picture. Like Scott said, like, you don't know what's going to happen this week at all. Like, I was looking at the forecast today, and it's not like it is here where, they'll say like, okay, there's a 40% chance of rain, winds of 8 to 10 miles per hour. It said like the forecast, and then below said low confidence. So basically, like, we don't really know what's going to happen even tomorrow.
Right.
So yeah, we're just guessing pretty much. So yeah, it's bigger picture.
But let me look at this way, because I looked at it and I thought differently after last weekend. And like, Sung J M was an on-fire golfer. Yes, he had terrible link style history, but outside of the majors this year, he's had 6, 7 top 10s in his last 8 or 9 events. So he has had some recency success just in general. And when it comes down to it, all golf courses are different, but it's still, as Scott said, get the ball in the hole as quickly as you can. So Steve, I'm going to throw the same thing. Will you rely at all extra on last week's success for any golfers, out there? Some of the guys that had success last week are obviously very good links golfers, like a Tom Kim, and Rory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, will you look at last week or who did well at the Rocket Mortgage Classic or whatever and take into account that at all?
I am a little bit. because Sanjay kind of changed my kind of whole opinion. And
I'm just trying to
of it.
get
Exactly.
everybody to convince me to play Sungjae. That's it. You know,
I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to him simply because of his pricing too. I thought because of him finishing T4 was going to get a huge jump, but because it's a major, I'm assuming that's why they kept him down. But for his pricing, I'll take that sort of chalk sort of deal if he ends up being good, because it's going to allow you to get in those high 8s, 9s where there are some guys where we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But look at Cantlay. He's a guy who recency form, he's played really well. 2 top 5s his last 2 times out. He hasn't played for the last 3 weeks like Scotty, but I'm sure he's been over there playing. Tony Finau is another guy where recency form, he hasn't played the last few weeks, but his form and way he's playing, there's a lot of golfers like that you're going to be able to take into consideration this week.
Can we backtrack for 1 second? Because I forgot to do this at the start of the show. Can we just shout out last week's Genesis Scottish Open and Bobby Mack with the miraculous, that putt on 18 to win it, and just that whole final round? It broke my heart because I had so much on the line with Ludvig Aberg. But, can we just, the emotion it's got to be for a Scottish guy like Bobby Mack to win your national open like that. That's like something that dreams are made of, right, guys?
He's so likable too. It's hard not to love the guy. Like with when he won earlier this year with his dad on the bag, like he's just an easy guy to cheer for.
Yeah, he's on an insane heater.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine. Obviously, like Scheffler's having like an all-time year, but like if you could say, "Hey, you're gonna win a tournament with your dad caddying, and then you're gonna win your national open," it's kind of like, dude, that's, I don't know. Yeah, he's
and then the Open Championship is also in Scotland, so
exactly.
It's the biggest golf tournament of the year, and you're staying at home. We'll get to Bobby Mack. What's he at? He's in the upper 7s. We'll talk about him in a little bit again. Yeah. I just wanted to shout that part out because
that was insane.
That's something special right there last week, and I cried because I lost so much money when Aberg fell apart. Like I had Scott, you might know this. I had him in every single lineup. I had top 10 and outright bets. My biggest outright bet I've laid of the year was on Aberg to win last week, and he was so close, close, and it broke my heart. But then I'm sitting there and I'm watching Bobby Mack make that putt to win it without going to, and I'm like, I almost don't feel bad that I lost that money.
Killer.
Shout out to Adam Scott. I know Jason had a good call last week on Adam Scott about playing him. He played pretty well. He blew it at the end, sort of deal on Sunday. But Bobby Mack, he doesn't like playing in the States. He's got to win in Canada, and now he's got to win over there across the pond. So he's killing it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about his earlier win not being in the States. I love that. All right, let's look at this week's tournament. Let's look at the board. Obviously, Scottie Scheffler at the top of the board, guys. And every event he's played in this year, we have said on this show to play or not to play, to bet or not to bet Scottie Scheffler. Let me just read it off. He hasn't missed a cut since August of 2022. He's only twice this year not finished in the top 10 of an event. 5 times in the last 2 seasons, it's only been not in the top 10 of an event. The Scottie Scheffler conversation, he's taken 3 weeks off. He's seen his baby a few weeks and stuff like that. We'll start with you, Steve. Thoughts on Scottie Scheffler this week? 12.8 is the price. Ownership is at this point pretty low on him. I forget what his odds were. I didn't write them down. But what are your thoughts on Scottie Scheffler this week, Steve? Is he a play? Is he a maybe play? Is he a fade for you? Because with this pricing this week, I think you can justify playing him a decent amount.
Yeah, I'm going to have some exposure to him. Him and Bryson probably start where both of my lineups mostly there. But you can easily get him in with some of these guys in the 6K range. And you can't – you'd be mad at yourself if you didn't have at least some exposure because he's got it all. I don't think 3 weeks off is really going to do any damage to – it might help, especially with ownership because of out of sight, out of mind. So that's another reason just for that purpose to give him a little bit of exposure.
Jason, I know he hasn't had great success at the Open Championship, but I kind of feel like Scottie Scheffler, even this year, I mean, not great success in his standards. He's 23rd, 21st, and an 8 at the Open Championship, Scottie Scheffler. Any thoughts of fading him because the Open really isn't his best tournament? Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to convince myself that he's not a good play.
I had thoughts of fading him. I'm not going to lie. I went back and forth a lot. Then I just kind of realized, like, if this course plays the way I think it's going to play, I feel like it fits Scotty perfectly. Like, big penalties if you miss off the tee, which that's one of his strengths, is that he's long and accurate too. And then around the green play, he's just so good around the green that I have so much confidence in him. And I felt like his price, it's kind of a mistake. I feel like that his price is in the 12s. I feel like it should be like 13.5. So absolutely. I went into it thinking I was going to fade him. And then, like, the more I dug into it, I'm actually going to play him a lot this week. So I just feel like the course fits too good.
I mean, Scott, it's him. If you don't play him, you got to play Rory. We know his history at the Open. You got to play Bryson if you don't, or Xander. I just don't know. Like, I like Rory always at the Open Championship. You know, you got to convince yourself to either play Scotty or one or two of those other guys, and you can never bet against Scotty, right, Scott? Scotty can't bet against Scotty.
Yeah, just the Scotty code. Right, yeah.
So
honestly,
cheesy, but, you know, I kind of felt like I had to do it.
Yeah, no, totally. And honestly, I didn't know he had. So basically, what'd you say, like 23rd or 21st?
Two top 25s and then an 8th in his first year at it. So the last 2 years was 21, 23.
I forgot that because, I mean, it's funny how, like, almost quickly we forgot about him and he just hasn't played in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And because he didn't win Pinehurst, we're kind of like, is he done? You know what I mean? It's just that quick. Where it's like, I know this is actually like a historical year in golf for him. So I think, yeah, initially I was kind of out on it, but now it's just like everything about this plays into his hands. You know, it's shaping up to be very positional. And in that back nine, he's long enough for it not to be an issue. And his chipping's insane. Yeah, and it's like small greens. Like, come on.
Does Scottie Scheffler have to win the Open to change casual golf fans? Like, he's had a great season. I mean, he's won 6 times, but he's only won 1 major. Does he need to win that second major to really validate this being one of the greatest golf seasons of all? This is one of the greatest golf seasons of all time, but I heard somebody else on another show say he has to win it. Otherwise, it's not an elite season like we're talking about it.
Man, I think it'd still be elite, but if you put 2 majors in a single year, like, you're in all-time territory. Like, I think that's getting once he got his second major, like, just doing that alone changes your entire legacy. There's a lot of people with 1 major. There's not a lot with 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once he did that, it was just, it was just on. And he's, I mean, this is.
Steve, do you agree? Do you agree with what Scott said there? Does he, like, it takes it to a new stratosphere and it solidifies it in that next stratosphere?
I think because of how many other wins he has and how big that margin is of points in the standings, though, for me, you can kind of solidify that almost. Like, look how dominant he was. Look at the gap between first and second. And if he can go out and maybe win one of those, you know, the BMW or the Tour, as maybe a replacement, if he doesn't win this, having that sort of win against the top, 30, and then the top 50. And then at the end, whatever that point margin is between him and second, it's going to be it may be more points than what third, fourth, and fifth even have total, the margin that he has. So when you say those sort of stats, I'd be okay if he finishes like top 5, top 10 in this, you know, in the Open.
Jason, any final thoughts on that before we look at the rest of the board here?
I think this major holds a little bit more weight for him too, because I think we all see that he fits so good at Augusta. We see that he fits so well. We thought at the U.S. Open he didn't have that good of a result, but I think this is the one major where, like, it, I guess, people don't think it fits Scotty's game. I guess it's because of the lack of course history. Like, we knew that he was the favorite at the other majors. Like, he's not. I mean, he's the favorite technically, but like there's not like an overwhelming push that he's the favorite at this one. So I feel like for him to win a tournament to where it's not really like his strong suit would be awesome. But I don't feel like he needs to win another one to solidify it. I mean, I feel like the strength of the schedule. I mean, he won at Sawgrass, he won at Augusta. He's winning at these elevated events. He's not winning these. He's not getting cheap wins. He's not winning, you know, no offense, but like Canada or John Deere or anything. He's winning
Right.
like the big boy events. So
Right.
All right, let's rapid fire through the rest of the 10K and above. Obviously, Bryson, U.S. Open champion, has terrible Open championship history. Rory, Xander, John Rahm, who's back, and Ludvig Aberg, who, in all intents and purposes, might be one of the best golfers in the world that can't close out a golf tournament. I've completely faded Aberg this week, guys, just because my heart was broken. But I feel like I made the biggest mistake. I've already built 8 of my 10 lineups for the week. I've made all my bets for the week, and I've completely gone away from it. I feel like I may have made a big mistake. Jason, we can start with you. Did I make a big mistake on fading Aberg?
That's like one step better than cheating on your wife. Like it's not good. It's not good. You're just asking for it.
I would never do that, Melissa.
No. Not that you ever do that. I'm just saying like it's Melissa and then Aberg for you. So
Right.
I'm not playing him either, and I haven't played him a lot, which is probably that's an error on my ways for sure because he's been so damn good. But I just worry about the toll that it takes, especially on a younger guy. Like, is it in his head now? Like, man, I can't close on Sundays. Like, I dominated the whole tournament. I can't close on Sunday. So I'm not playing him. I'm going to roll with the chalk, unfortunately, in this range is Scheffler and Rory for me.
Yeah. Scott, you're a pretty smart guy. At least you present yourself as a pretty smart guy. What does it take for somebody like Aberg to get his heart crushed on Sunday again and then literally come out the next week and play? Like, what does he have to do to get over this mental? Because I really think it's mental with him to an extent on Sundays. I mean, he's 24 years old. We all remember what being 24 was like. What does he got to do to? I actually don't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah, exactly.
What does he got to do to get over that hump?
I mean, I don't know. I disagree. I think because he is 24 and he's different. Like, I think we kind of went through this with Cameron Young, where it was just like, oh, this is like a can't miss kid. Yeah. But they're like two different animals to me. Like, Ludvig seems like a more kind of level, can roll with it easier. But I do agree, like, scar tissue. And if it keeps happening, I think if like he collapsed on Sunday this week, I'd side with you on that. But I really like him this week, to be honest. Like, I don't know. There's not a lot of holes there. I know the Sundays haven't been great, and especially like seeing where ownership goes, I'd be interested. I think he might get chalky, surprisingly, but I don't know. I'm kind of in on him this week.
Okay. All right. Steve, let's just jump down to the 9K range here. There's some great names in the 9K range, obviously, with Colin Morikawa, Hatton, Fleetwood, who's everybody loves Fleetwood, but as Jason said, he never wins. Cantlay, who you already mentioned. Do you have a favorite play in the 9K range, Steve?
Yeah, Hatton. Hatton's my guy. He's I think he just won at Nashville 2 weeks ago in Live, and then he finished third last week in Live. He's gained over 1.5 strokes around the green in each of his 4 lasts, and he's played tons over here. And the way he played in the last major, the U.S. Open, I was really off on him there, and he really played well. We don't get to see him that much, but I did a lot of research on him and how he's been playing. He's my favorite. Him and Cantlay at this range.
Gotcha. Jason, I know your thoughts on Fleetwood are you don't bet them, but you play them. Where are you going? I'm assuming you're playing Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Any of the other names you like here a lot?
Fleetwood's my highest owned golfer of the week. I don't think that's really breaking any new ground or anything like that, but I feel like that's a good play. I like the Cantlay play too. I think because of the form, I think he's sneakily in really good form. Like he's like Steve mentioned earlier, like 2 top 5s, I think, in his last 2 events. Like I really like that a lot. I feel like his ownership's not going to be the ownership of some of the other ones. I think everybody's going to be on Morikawa, which is hard to argue. But I mean, like Cantlay at 9.5%, that seems like a good play to me too.
Yeah. Scott, anything to add to this 9K range conversation? He just said it. I'm not 100% lineup like Aberg last week on Colin Morikawa, but Morikawa was my pick to win the event. So I've got, even though he's going to be highly owned, that's where my exposure, the whole entire board is going to him.
I weirdly like Victor. I think he's 97. I think I mean, when he's on, he's like a green and reg machine. I think he's coming off. I think he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. Played last week, not that great, but I think all the stuff he was going through at the beginning of the year with trying new swing stuff. I mean, honestly, I thought Victor last year, I was like, oh, he's gonna this is the number one player in the world. Like he body bagged Xander in one of the playoffs. Like I thought he was gonna go on like this Scotty run and then swing stuff. And I think it's starting to come around, and I think he's gonna be under the radar. And if this plays out how it can, precision ball striker, that could be Victor all day.
I mean, he's from 9K all the way up to Scottie Scheffler. Right now, he's projected as the lowest owned guy on the board. That's phenomenal. You just can't go wrong with that.
His track record at Opens too. I mean, you're talking about a really good track record. Obviously, it plays different courses, so it's a little bit misleading. But T13, T4, T12 in his 3 Open appearances.
Did you guys see that he said, I guess at one of his press conferences, about how he had his agent reach out to Liv, and then he decided to say no to them. They didn't reach out to him. He reached out to Liv.
Really?
I saw it on Twitter. One of the golf reporters that I follow put out there, a statement from him that he had his agent contact Liv to just investigate for him. He did not like what he heard from them, so he decided to stay on the PGA Tour.
Dang. I mean, I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah,
so do I. We all know they've all asked or all looked into it.
Yeah.
I actually respect the honesty from Victor Hovland saying, the money's pretty good. I thought about it for a minute.
I mean, I can't believe that they're Liv was let's not get Victor. Get me Charles Howell III now. Dude, what?
He didn't say when he looked into Liv, but I just thought.
True, but it's also dude, what? All right, yeah.
All right, let's look at this 8K range here. Obviously, starting out with Cam Smith, who used to be my favorite golfer on the planet. But you got some really interesting names in this range. I know a lot of people are talking a lot about Tom Kim, Tony Finau, Hideki, and stuff like that. Jason, we can start with you on this range here. Your favorite play in the 8K range?
It's your favorite golfer of all time, or second favorite golfer of all time, Cam Smith. I just love him at the Open. I know that there's questions about the driving accuracy, which is obviously something to worry about for sure. But I just think his short game, his ability to get out of trouble is what I really like the most about him. So I'm going to be playing a bunch of him. And then I think my second favorite play in this range is going to be probably Tom Kim. I think he's a plotter. Like Scotty was saying earlier, it's shaping up to be a plotter's tournament. And he's kind of the definition of plotter. So Tom Kim for sure. And that's pretty much my 2 favorites in this range.
Yeah. We'll get Austin to Alec Noren when we get to that low 7K range. But I think we'll all agree with you that he is definitely a solid play if you want to. I believe he's 71 or 7,200 or something like that. So we'll cover that when we get down there. But I think you're spot on. He's another one like Tommy Fleetwood. You don't bet him to win, but you could definitely play him in DFS, especially when his price is in the 7Ks or lower. Some of those terrible tournaments, he's in the upper 9Ks, and it just doesn't make sense. Scott, real quick, in this 8K range, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm a huge Decky guy. I think he's weirdly underrated. Probably one of the best of his generation. I've been burned by him so much from his neck and back. But I mean,
scar tissue.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly. But I think this is a tournament where, I mean, we saw what he did at Riv, where he just brought that course to his knees and smoked the field. I mean, he's someone, if he's there on Sunday within a few shots and it comes down, I mean, who would you want hitting an iron with your life on the line? I mean,
Scott, is it a case where Hideki is one of those guys? Because just like you, I've been burned by his back, his DQ finish. What was it, 2 years ago when he got DQ'd from the event? I had him in 90% of my lineup that week. Is it a case where you always should give yourself just a little bit of exposure to Hideki and then bet him? A top 10 or a top 20 bet every week he's in an event. I bet you that would pay off long term a lot more than putting him in 67% of your DraftKings lineups.
You could put everyone above him. There's a lot of resumes where it's I'll take Decky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's that good. He's that great. And I mean, iron in his hand, there's not maybe a handful of guys better. and around the green, I don't know of very many that are better at chipping, pitching, bunker. Like he is he's an all-timer, I think, around the green. And yeah, that's someone to, I don't know. Yeah, I like what you said. Like, hey, just have a little nibble. Have a little nibble.
Like I've done 8 lineups so far. He's in 2 lineups, but I bet him in the top 10. You know what I mean? So like, if he misses the cut, I lose my bet in 2 lineups, or 5 out of 6. You know what I mean?
So, you're not that mad at me. So
yeah, I'm not that crushed. But like you said, he's got a chance that he could be in the top 3 come Sunday afternoon. So
I mean, Sunday in the mix, like, whew, he's an absolute fucking killer.
Absolutely. Steve, anybody else in this range that we didn't touch on that you want to add to or thoughts?
I like Shane Lowry. He's got 2 top 20s in his last 2. He's played tons of links golf, and when his putter's on, when he can get red hot like how he did at the US Open for those few rounds, I feel like he's one of the guys. And then Wyndham Clark at 8K even. He showed a lot to me, at least. I don't know, he's gearing up for the Olympics or what he's trying to prove people that he should have made the team, but he went out and he played great. I had him in a few lineups. Hideki is probably my guy that I keep finding is the guy who I leave out probably the most out of this range, though, just because of you can do so much with Wyndham and Lowry being on the lower end of the 8K range. But I'm 100% with Scott with Hideki. Is the way he's played, he already has his withdrawals. So try to sandwich that. I sandwiched that pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's a sandwich compliment right there.
Okie doke on us.
That means a lot to me. Yeah, thanks, man.
I like him. He sucks, but I like him.
I like him. I'm not playing him, but
I just marked down that minute mark. We're gonna have to try to clip out that just the video, no audio of just Scott and Jason's face going, what? I'm not heavily invested in the 8K range, and it's because I got a lot in the upper 9 and 10K range that I'm using. But I want to just touch on a name just outside of the 8K range, which for some random reason I never make bets before I do my research. But I was just going through the DraftKings board Monday morning, sitting, chilling after making 180 pizzas. I'm like, hold on a second, this golfer's 80-1. I'm like, you know what? $2, bet, done. And I have a rule of thumb. I put everybody I bet in at least 1 or 2 lineups. And Jordan Spieth at the top of the 7K range, I just couldn't pass up 80-1, 7,900, sub 10% Jordan Spieth. You got Steve. You're already shaking your head. Call me crazy. I mean, Elise already. I know Elise. Already is in love with my bet there, my play. Am I crazy, Steve? I mean, he's only in 2 lineups as of this moment, but I love the number of Jordan Spieth there.
I just never play him in any sort of way, because all it becomes is, for whether it's 2 rounds, whether it be the first 2 or the middle 2, doesn't matter. When you get to Sunday, he's going to piss you off in some sort of way. So you rather just do it not with my money sort of deal. So, hey, good on you for having that bravery and courage to be able to put him on
80-1. I could use that money, but Jason, am I crazy?
There you go.
Bet him, fine. Don't play him in DraftKings. That's my advice. I just feel like, he's been so bad. He's obviously injured. I think we all know that. He has one good finish recently, and that was at the John Deere Classic, not exactly a loaded field. So I just feel like it's weird because his off the tee game has been so good, but everything else has been just awful. So I just feel like he's going to get into so much trouble here.
Scott, he's got great Open history. He's got great links course history. Somebody give me some kind of glimmer of hope that maybe it's a smart decision to bet and put a tiny little investment in him.
He's in his 30s now, right? He's like 33, something like that.
Jesus.
Let me find
He's
out.
kind of in that
old again.
He's kind of in that sweet spot now of like when people win the Open. And
He's
it
30.
might be like the second wave of his, because dude's been off for a while. And I know he's 30. Okay. Yeah. So he's still, damn, he's only 30?
Yeah.
That kind of makes me feel old.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Oh.
All right.
All right, Scott, take the rest of this upper 7K or even middle 7K. Is there a golfer you really like here? Bobby Mack, who won last week, 7,700. I know he's going to get a lot of love. Defending champion Brian Harman gets no respect at 7,600. I know he's not an amazing elite golfer, but he's in that range as well. Thoughts on this range here?
Man, I'm such a leverage ownership play but this range is like scary because I think any of these guys could like win. Like Cameron Young finally coming through out of nowhere would be very on brand. Min Woo is kind of the sexy new pick toy, but him with an iron isn't good. He's off the tee and, gets good with the putter. I feel like Corey Connors is going to get mushed, but I love him. Homa's like possibly broken, but could see him making noise.
Who's more broken, Max Homa or Jordan Spieth?
Spieth.
You think Spieth?
Yeah.
Spieth, I think's injured.
Yeah.
Homa,
on his way there.
Broken.
Spieth is just like his own, like he's Spieth. It's like it's like, oh, he looks like he's gonna like maybe break 80 or he's gonna like win 5 times in a year. It's like that's his whole career.
Yeah.
And like, I just Greller, his caddy, is just he's the legend. I don't know how anyone puts up with that. I mean, money, but
in this range. And any other names that what?
I like Thagila Sahith. I think he played really well last week. I think he was tied for 4th as well with those guys up there. He gained on strokes on every single category at the Renaissance, and then his form right now, and I think his being as confident for as young as he is, he's got a swagger to him. So I think this would be, it's a course that complements him well. And then, like Scott said, Corey Connors, I like him a lot. The way he's been playing, those guys have my eye. A lot of the lower end of the 7K range have my eye.
I agree with that. You bring up Sahith, which is an interesting thing because I kind of fit in him in the same when we were talking about Sung Jae Im earlier. Guys that don't have a lot of experience or success at links golf, both played well last year, but Sahith is a little younger and doesn't have the time to have all the experience that Im does, and him having a good round. He's an erratic guy, Sahith. He can get wonky off the tee and all, but I love that you threw it out there because I do like him a little bit this week. And I think he's a better option, in my opinion, than some JM this week as a guy that had just recent links course success, but nothing before it. Jason, in this range?
I actually don't like Thagila this week because of his ability. I was going to say ability to spray it all over the place, but it's not really ability. He can get wild off the tee.
I mean, I have that ability. I could spray it all over the place.
I worry about him this week on a course like this, getting into trouble. I have 2 plays that I absolutely love in this range. One is Cameron Young, who I'm never super stoked to play, but I feel like if he's ever going to win one, I think the Open might be the chance to win one. Like he's not. We all know he's a god awful putter. To say he's a bad putter is an understatement. But I think like this is the kind of tournament he can win. And then my other one is a total gut feel, just a guy that I feel like is underpriced and more talented than everybody else in this range. I'm going to play a lot of him is Joaquin Niemann.
Oh, wow.
Not great history at the Open, but I just feel like he's more talented than everyone in this range.
I mean, we haven't talked about the live guys much this week. It seems like this is the last time we'll see the live guys till the Masters. Nobody's mentioned a single live golfer, I don't think, yet on this show. Everybody was on Niemann, Jason, at the Masters.
Yep.
And did he miss the cut or he barely made the cut? He didn't have a good showing at the Masters. Anybody else that you guys like from live this week? Because I'm looking at my player pool that I've actually used so far. I got a couple European guys, but DP Tour guys. I don't have a single live guy on my player board this week.
Usti.
I heard some people talk about Usti.
Oh,
There's no way I can get behind Usti this week.
I like Rahm. I could see making noise. I mean, seems pretty pumped about his decision. No, but like
as long as there's no, what are those things? Behind him in his swing. Getting in the way. The drones. As long as there's no drones in Scotland.
Yeah, like he's someone that, and I mean, to be fair, like he hasn't been John Rahm in a while, but kind of similar to what I thought about Victor. Just someone with, yeah, like Rahm's done it, and I feel like he could do it again. Like, I don't know. There's just so much variance, especially nowadays with players. It's like they're hot and then they just fall off the map and come back. And I think he's been in a lull long enough to be where he's kind of almost due in a way, like being that talented and that almost dominant for that long.
So good at the Open too. I think. I mean, like he's played so well in Opens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one more name in the 7K range real quick. And I don't think he's got much experience on links courses, and he hasn't played in the last couple of weeks. But one thing we've agreed about his game, Jason, on this show all year long is that he's one of the more creative golfers on tour. And I think creativity on an open course is very important. And I think Akshay Bhatia, I mean, it's a big risk reward type play with him. But I think Bhatia, I mean, he was 100 to 1. And I mean, will he win? I doubt it. But I thought it was a worthy, bet to make, because if it gets crazy weather out there, if he's trying to avoid a bunker on Sunday, he's going to have that weird, funky shape shot that he could do. He could just get creative, imaginative, and maybe work his way around the course. I kind of like the idea of Bhatia at 7K, especially if you're going Rory at the top of the board.
I just don't like the ownership. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Is
14, I really was surprised. What's he at now? Like 12 the last
14.
I looked.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be much lower than that yesterday when I was building lineups.
I think he's a pretty good win player. Yeah, he's a really good win player too. So it's interesting for sure. I mean, I worry about it being his first Open a little bit. I feel like experiencing this kind of tournament matters a lot. But
are you surprised that guys like him that had no experience skipped last week? Because he would have gotten, even if he missed the cut last week, he could have gotten that links experience, and we would have had a lot more of a better understanding of how he would play this week.
I almost feel like he kind of burned himself out a little bit. Like he play like 7 weeks in a row or 6 weeks in a row at one
7
point.
or 8 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and then just kind of like we saw in Detroit, he just kind of like ran out of steam at the end, and I don't know. I think he needed like a mental break.
Absolutely.
Rapid rounds in there, I'm sure.
Almost an hour into this show. Steve, we'll start with you. Give me 1 or 2 names from the 6K and 5K range that you might like and why. Oh, hold on, real quick. We never even touched on it. He asked the question. I said we would touch on it, but Alec Noren, 7,200. You guys, anybody want to give any thoughts on Alec Noren? Is he in that Fleetwood boat? You don't bet him, but you play him?
I think you touched on it earlier. I think in this price range, you play him for sure. I mean, he's going to be relatively low on. I think he's like 8% ownership right now. So I feel like I think he's a good fit. I mean, the guy's a good iron player, pretty good putter. I feel like he could really do well. He's got a good Open history too, so it's a play for me.
Yeah. Scott, good on Alec Noren, smart play.
Yeah, man, I've seen him live, and like he's like Decky level short game. Like it's insane. He's filthy, and especially on like tight lies and stuff. Like he's gonna get out of here. I mean, if his irons show any sign, he'll be in the mix for sure.
I agree. Steve, thoughts on Noren for Austin there, and then jump into that 6K, 5K range with 1 or 2 names you like a lot.
Yeah, I like Noren. I like the way he played, especially on Sunday, how he finished off that because Saturday he didn't play that well. It was probably his worst round. But the way he played Sunday, he climbed up the ladder, the leaderboard real quick. And like I said, it fits his style of play, getting on these greens, and when his putting on, it's on. But for 6K, I'm gonna go back to him. I played him last week, Tom Kibben. He missed it on the cut. He missed the number on the cut. So the way he's been playing on the DP tour, he's used to playing links. He's been top notch. He's been has what 7, 6, top 5, top 10s playing over there. So that's who I'm going to be looking for if I'm going that deep into the 6Ks.
Jason,
I have some pretty wild sleepers this week. I feel like I'm going to give you 3. I'm going to give you 3 that I really like.
Stenson, no. I said 2. You're not allowed to throw a curve on a third.
Listen, as a co-host, no, I'm just kidding.
As a co-host, you could give 3.
Stenson's actually been playing pretty well. I know it's kind of cheating because he played well here in 2016, and that's not why I'm playing him. But I just like him. He's always been really solid at the Open. I feel like his game fits this course as like he's got that 3-wood that's so deadly. So I like him. Shubhankar Sharma has been really good. He finished 8th at the Open last year. He's been really good on the DP
You say that
World
name
Tour.
again for me?
Shubhankar Sharma. I don't know if that's how you say it or not, but he's been really good. 5,900. I like that one. And then I have probably the deepest sleeper you'll see all season. Dominic Clemens. He's amateur, and he played in the, I forget what it was called, but basically like the Open of Scottish for non-professional golfers, and he won by 17. Like he's insanely good. He went to somewhere, I forget what college he went to, some small school, and he transferred to Alabama. But low AM bet right there.
All right, there you go. Scott, you got anything can you give me a cool name that's hard to pronounce?
I mean, there's some banging. That's what's great about this tournament is everything in like 6K below. You're like, there's like crusty vets who like maybe they'll pop like a Molinari or somebody or maybe Glover. I don't know, like small greens. Not a lot of.
Did you say Danny Glover? Danny Glover's in the field?
Oh no, Lucas Glover.
You might have said Lucas. I heard Danny Glover.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
He said like Glover. I don't think he said Danny Glover.
That would have been great.
It was a joke.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, but just like names and places I've never heard of, I feel so dumb. There's a sweet name, Santiago de la Fuente. That's
that's fire.
Sexy.
I didn't say Steve's name like that. I mean, can you say Steve's name for us then?
Steve Fuentes.
Yeah, there you go. See, I didn't use the accent on Steve's name.
Yeah. God, there was one other one that killed me. Jaime Montoyo, which just sounds like a badass.
Yeah, it does sound like a badass. Well, do you like any of those names, or are you fading those tough ones for somebody else?
I might. I want to get to. Marcel CM, the ponytail monster.
I had him in a bunch of lineups last week. He played really well.
Ripping heaters, absolute filthy. I feel like people have been talking about Matt McNeely, which I thought was interesting. I mean, he besides putting, I don't know. Lucas Glover, why not? I put Jaeger. I don't know. Just people I'm comfortable with.
It's really, really tough to pick these guys. That's why I went so heavy in the 8 and 9K range and didn't play a lot above 10K, because I think it's kind of tough to pick. Siwoo Kim maybe, Ryan Fox maybe Benny On. Does anybody want to go back to the Adam Scottwell again this week? I know his ownership's going to take a big spike this week. I put him in 2 of 8 lineups so far. I don't think I could go much more than that. I don't have confidence he can repeat last week's success 2 weeks in a row. But I kind of feel like Adam Scott's also one of those guys that at his age, if he gets on a heater, maybe you ride it for a few weeks till he's off of it, even with the ownership spike this week.
I'm a little worried with the ownership spike what he's going to see and if he can keep that up. Because I kind of think that losing on the 18th hole kind of might, I know he's a veteran in this, but sometimes that can get into your head. Again, next week, he could be thinking about this all week, especially now when you're going to have guys like Scotty in the lineup and you're going to have all the other guys who haven't been playing Cantlay. So I'm going to stay away from him, but I can imagine his ownership is going to be skyrocketing this week.
All right, guys, real quick before we get to the lineup building segment of this show, we have some great sponsors here at this show. PhillySportsTrips.com, the premier travel package team on the East Coast. Go to their website, PhillySportsTrips.com. They got a great package to Brazil to see the Eagles take on Green Bay Packers week 1. They also have some other great tailgate and trips on their agenda for all the Philadelphia sports fans to Miami, to Tampa, to Baltimore. Check them out, PhillySportsTrips.com. Make sure you mention EOP and Fairway to Heaven when you're booking on their website. Also, SherryTickets.com, promo code EOP10. No hidden fees, great prices on sports tickets, concert tickets, theater tickets. Don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best. And, of course, the number one lawyer, our friend, the Cherry Bomb himself, David R. Cherry of the Cherry Law Firm. Workers' compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law. Visit his website, cherryinjurylaw.com, or give him a call, 610-565-0300. Again, David R. Cherry of the Cherry Law Firm. There's that right there. We'll get those sponsorship reads out of the way right there. Oh, and Dolan's Bar. Forgot about Dolan's Bar. You can't forget about Dolan's Bar, who's been there for 65 years, Scott. The quintessential Irish American dive bar right here in Ridley, my old hometown. You
No
got to,
way.
guys, check out.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. We got sponsors here, Scott. We're big time here.
I
You know,
know. There was a lot too. I was like, damn.
We have more that don't pay for everyday usage.
Right.
They're the ones that I got to shout out on my list. So,
Yeah.
You know, I kind of rapid fire through them because I'm, we're already an hour into this show, So, Jason, we do our line. Scott, I'm sure Jason told you we do lineup builds on this show. We have oh, you did? All right.
No.
So we do a running contest here where we pick a lineup. There's no dupes. We do it snake style. Okay. So if you pick a guy, I can't pick him. If I pick a guy, Jason can't pick him.
Oh, yeah,
So we do a running contest. Jason,
Yeah.
what is the standings through the season as we're getting set for the Open Championship?
So you got the big win last week.
Yes.
I still have 11 wins, so I'm barely ahead of you. You have 10, and the guests have 5. So with Scott being the newcomer, he's going to pick what order in the draft he wants.
You want to go first, second, third, or fourth on a snake style draft here?
Third.
Thirds.
Scott's going third. Well, let
All
Steve.
right.
Steve, when do you want to pick?
I'll go 4.
You go 4.
I knew he was going to take 4. Not surprised there at all.
I'm going to go second. You can go first.
Give me the terrible first spot. All right, gotcha. Yeah. Screw me for winning, 1 week. Why not? All right, so I'm going to start this off, and I am just going to go to make sure I get it. I still think 1,000% he wins this event and wins another Open Championship, Colin Morikawa, right off the bat. My biggest bet of the week, my most usage this week. Let's just keep it going on this lineup as well.
I'm going to switch up my strategy. I'm going to go value first, and I'm going to get my man Shawarma. Shawarma?
What?
Shawarma?
I'm just writing down shawarma.
It's Shubhankar Sharma.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Shawarma makes so much better.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, you're up on the board.
I'll take Sepp Straka. So I don't know if I've mentioned him.
I've seen a few people mention him this week.
I feel like he could take it the whole thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Steve, you're on the board for 2 picks here, my man.
I'm gonna go Hatton.
Mhm.
And give me, where is he? And Shane Lowry.
Really taking a lot of risk with those 2 picks there.
Oh yeah.
All right, Scott, you're back up on the board here.
I'll go Decky.
I like it.
Love it. Jason,
I'm going to go Cam Young.
Cam Young.
Top 5 incoming.
You guys love Cam Young this week.
I don't like Cam Young any week, and I like him this week a lot.
Jason, you say how many times you can't think Fleetwood's going to win a tournament because he's never won a tournament. Why do you think Cam Young? He's never won a tournament. At least Fleetwood won a tournament across the pond.
No, I don't think he's going to win, but I mean, second in a T8 in his 2 opens, like that's pretty damn solid. He's been playing good golf lately. He can't putt. We know he can't putt, but I like the upside.
All right, we're going to go with
incoming.
Yeah. We'll go with the safe pick of Tom Kim to start for me, and then I got to get a cheap value play. We're going to go Siwoo Kim. We're going to go Kim and Kim.
Wow.
Kim and Kim. Feel like I may have built this lineup already this week. It looks awfully familiar to me.
I'm going to go towards the top of the board. I'm going to go Rory.
Ooh.
Risky play right there.
Wait, did you pick Siwoo Kim or Sunjay Im?
Siwoo Kim.
Siwoo Kim.
Woo.
Woo.
Give me a woo.
Give me a Rory.
All right, Scott, you're up.
I'll keep it with this. I'll go with Scotty. Why not?
Scotty. All right. Scotty it is.
Yeah.
And then Steve. Look, Scotty could win this event easily,
Yeah.
but he's not going to finish outside the top 10. So it's the safest bet in all of golf. That's why you can't get a top 10 bet of even money on Scottie Scheffler.
Damn.
I looked in 2 or
I'm
3
gonna
books. I can't find an
go,
even money Scottie Scheffler bet anywhere for top 10.
Let me go with the Gila and Connors.
All right. right back to Steve. I should put everybody in the order that they're actually picking here on the screen. There we go. And now we know exactly what's going on here.
Did you get both of mine?
Yeah,
I got
the
Sadiq
Gallon
and
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got you. Scott's on the board.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go. I guess. I mean, why not? De La Fuente.
De La Fuente. Love it. You just wanted to say Fuente again, right?
Yeah.
I can't really roll my R's and L's and S's like you, but you know, I like it.
I'm gonna
Sweet.
pick the new best putter on the tour. I'm gonna go Aaron Rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking my favorite golfer in the world off the board from me.
You have the worst favorite golfers ever.
Thanks. I appreciate that. That's such a great comment to say to your friend.
Sorry.
Yeah, what a great guy you are. All right, I'm gonna go Batea with the next pick, and Tony Finau. Maybe not Tony Finau. Hold on, let me think about this for a second.
Oop, backtrack.
I gotta plan this out a little bit better here. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, we'll go Tony Finau. Tony Finau and Batea.
I'm gonna go. So you picked Tony Finau, huh? Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Screwed my whole strategy.
Good.
Yeah, it messed me up. That messed me up too. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, I'm gonna go.
I'll trade you 'em. Give me $5 and I'll trade them to you.
No thanks. All right, I'm gonna go Fleetwood.
Oh.
I almost went Fleetwood instead of Finau, so there you go.
That screws my next pick though.
I'm going Ludvig.
Ludvig. That was the other one I was debating between. I get too emotional with golfers, and I was so emotionally invested in him last week. I just can't go back to the well again. But that's just.
Can we talk about Scotty's big three? Scotty, Ludvig, and Hideki. That's pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really solid. All right, Steve, you get to take your last two picks here.
All right, give me I'm gonna go McKibben
Yes.
and Xander.
Xander. You'd think Xander would be pretty good in the Open too, right?
He has been good. Yeah, he has been pretty good.
Yeah. You'd have to think he's a great. We didn't really talk about. I mean, he's a major champion now. I think this is the first time his name's come up the entire show. So good one there,
T17, T15, T26, T41, T2 in the last 5 years. Pretty good.
I mean, that's not amazing, but
No, but it's
not
pretty
awful.
damn good.
Imagine if he's the one who gets 2 majors this year.
We're talking about Scotty getting a second major. Maybe Xander is. Yeah,
Fair.
absolutely.
Ooh,
All right,
I'm torn
Scott,
here.
your last pick.
All right, I'm gonna pivot. I'm going to possibly the sexiest golfer, Brendan Todd.
The Toddmeister. Gotta always hear the Toddmeister's name right there.
Oh,
Does Todd
He's
have
one
nice
of my
hair
favorites
like you?
too.
He's the
That one-
best.
that one got me. Whew.
Just tink.
Jason. How can you one up the Toddmeister here?
Right,
you know?
exactly. I'm gonna go with a guy that worries me a little bit this week, but I'm gonna go Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham Clark.
Yeah.
He's in my
I worry
pick.
about the high ball flight in the wind, but
Absolutely. All right. So I'm on the board for the last pick of this event. I got 9,300. I wish we had more people watching live. Most of our viewership comes later because we go so early here. I'm debating between did somebody take Cantley? No. I'm debating between Cantley, Brooks, and Cam Smith, adding a new name to my player pool here. Trying to think here. I think we're going to go.
You're not playing Cam Smith this week, huh?
I'm playing Cam Smith right now because Cam
There you
Smith's my pick.
No.
Oh, whoa. How about that? Cam
That's your
Smith,
guy.
update entry, locked in. I'm kind of off on Cam Smith right now. I don't know. He just kind of, I don't know.
Your guy, man.
Anyway, so there are our lineups, guys. Jason, we also have, so Scott, so you know, we do a one and done. It's just a friendly competition between me and Jason, and you can laugh how far behind I am. Last week I had Aberg. Who did you have? Tom Kim last week?
Kim, yeah. Yep.
So I think I may have closed the $5 million gap by a few pennies.
There we go.
But that's about it.
It's only $4
I
million.
was, just so you know, Scott, I was up in the one and done like $3 million earlier in the season, and now I am down like $5 million in this one and done right now.
Yeah, I went on a
Golf.
heater for a minute.
It is. It's golf betting. So, Jason, who you
Yeah.
taking as your one and done this week?
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
I
gotta try to close the gap. So I gotta pick somebody you don't.
I'm gonna go Fleetwood.
Fleetwood. All right. So I don't believe I've taken Colin Morikawa, but I'll go Colin Morikawa.
Hold on. You may have.
Damn it.
No, I did. You did not.
All right. We'll go Colin versus Fleetwood this week. Basically, there might be another $5 difference between their prize money this week.
Man.
So yeah, this is stressful. Scott, I don't know what kind of betting you get into and all, but do you have any bets you like this week or anything that you've put some wagers on this week?
I haven't dipped too hard into. I've been mainly doing DFS this week, and then outrights and stuff. So there's some crazy numbers. I think like Brooks and McIntyre are like the same number.
Yeah.
There's like some weird. So I haven't dug into too much yet, but I'll get some weird ones in there.
Steve, you got any bets you like this week?
Yeah, I picked Bryson as my favorite, and then as an outlandish kind of out there one, I took Hovland as an outright, and then one of my favorite ones, I got Tiger to make the cut.
Ooh, we didn't talk about Tiger at all. I mean, the last time we'll see him this year. Next year, we have the opportunity to see him more than 4 times because they've given him that exemption to all the elevated events. Scott, did you not see that, Scott?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They've given him an exemption to all elevated events. So this is the last time we'll see him. But next year, we might see him some more. So I always love me some Tiger Woods action because that's what got me into golf. I don't know about anybody else. Jason, any bets?
Oh, do I?
Do it. For a guy that doesn't bet golf,
No, I do now.
a lot of golf.
I changed my mind on golf betting in the last 4 weeks. I have Morikawa 16-1, Rahm 22-1, Cam Smith 40-1. I have a Morikawa to win plus Fleetwood top 10, which is plus 53.40, which I love that one. And then I just did this one today. I have Clemens and Sharma, my two deep sleepers, top 30 parlay, 49-1.
Wow.
Ooh.
I mean, obviously, I went over all my bets. I'm picking Colin Morikawa to win this event, but the two bets that I like the most because of the potential return on them, Tom Kim and Tony Finau, both 40-1. I really do like those two guys to get their first majors. But Tom Kim top 10 was like 5-1. I can't read my own scribble here. I think that says a 5. I thought that was a really good value play because I think Tom Kim couldn't finish up there. And so I went to the well there. So I thought that was good. But still in on this Jordan Spieth at 80-1 for $2, guys. I think it's going to be the bet that saves my season right there.
Good luck,
I'm rooting for you.
If DraftKings offers me a $3 payout at any point this weekend, I'm cashing out.
Yeah.
I'm taking that money and I am running for the hills. Just so you know. All right, Jason, anything you want to add to this conversation before we wrap this shebang up?
No, I'm pumped for this week. Thank you to Scotty and Steve for coming on. Two of the best. So appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Steve, anything you got going
absolutely.
on? I know obviously you got the attacking third. Anything got going on there?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on again. I love doing the show. Tomorrow night I'll be down at Subaru Park covering the Union versus New England. And then I know Pat, he's going to be in there Saturday, and just check out my articles, Edge of Philly Sports. And then on Thursday night, typical time, 9:00, doing the attacking third.
Awesome. Sounds good. Scott, I know you got nothing to promote. So I'm just going to ask you thoughts on, hold on. Where's my notes? Because I don't even know her name. Thoughts on Ingrid Andress and her national anthem singing last night.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh my
Is
God.
that
Do you
for the-
live under a rock?
I mean, kinda.
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh,
You're the only
She was
person in
boozed
America
up
that
singing
doesn't
the
know how
national
bad
anthem.
the national anthem was.
I mean, national anthem. Like, 'cause Steve, I'm like a huge music nerd, a guitar player, but national anthem is like a weird song. It's a hard song. I'll watch it. I don't even know who that person is. Like
She's a
pop star.
4-time nominated Grammy singer. Didn't know who she was, but now I know who she was. Jason,
Oh,
did you see it,
no.
Jason?
No, I didn't see it either. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
now I do.
What's wrong with you guys?
But I didn't know what. Yeah.
Like, even if you don't watch the home run derby, It's been literally all over social media since last night. Like the number one trending topic in the world is her national anthem.
Missed it.
Anyway, with that
was
being
bad.
said, we're going to wrap up
It was
Fairway to
bad.
Heaven right here. Thanks to Scott for joining us tonight. Make sure you guys give him a follow at Holdridge_Scott. The semi-funniest guy, one of the top 5 funniest guys I know on Twitter. Not 5, not 1, but in the top 5 maybe. Thanks to Steve, as always. Jason Sullivan. I'm Phil Stiefel. This is Edge of Philly Sports. Like, subscribe, follow, share. Do it all. We'll be back next week recapping this week's event, talking next week's event. Who knows what else will go on in the world of golf. I'll be back here, as always, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We got some Eagles talk. We got some Phillies talk. We got some All-Star game talk on the agenda tomorrow, guys. So everybody have a great night. Go Colin Morikawa. And as I end of our show, guys, bubbles up to you.